afternoon, everybody, and thank you. Prior to Roseanne giving us that nice little intro at the very beginning and putting us on that, how many of you had ever heard of Proterra or even knew that electric buses existed? Wow. Okay, that's amazing because 3 years ago, if I had done this exact same thing, there would have been a handful of people that raised their hand because there was 6 of us in California working in a Regis temporary office space. But since you have heard of Proterra, let's do a little bit of a quick video overview so I don't have to talk that much.
A major shift is underway across America. It's the complete transformation of transit. With smart, connected, clean, efficient vehicles, utilizing new technologies, fueled by clean energy, advanced design, and intelligent planning. Innovating in 4 advanced research, design, and manufacturing facilities around the US, Proterra is reimagining and reinventing transit, driven by a vision to provide clean, quiet transportation for all. Introducing the Proterra Catalyst, the first bus designed and built from the ground up as an electric vehicle. Drawing inspiration and ideas from energy, aerospace, and high tech, the Proterra Catalyst is the best performing bus on the road with 0 tailpipe emissions. Featuring a low-maintenance electric drivetrain, energy-dense batteries, and a lightweight, impact-resistant composite body, the Proterra Catalyst has delivered a stunning leap forward in energy efficiency. With the equivalent of 21 miles per gallon, the Catalyst achieves a 500% improvement over internal combustion engines and a nominal range of up to 350 miles. This is not incremental change. This is revolutionary change. The cost of electric vehicle technology is falling faster every year. Based on this trend alone, we envision that by 2030, almost every new bus deployed in America will be electric. Economics will make it the only sensible choice. Proterra is powering this transformation right now, with customers in over 20 states and more than 3.1 million zero-emission miles on our odometer, and thousands more miles added every day by transit agencies across the country. Proterra is driving the transportation revolution, changing the way people experience mobility in their communities, creating clean, quiet transit for all. This is our vision and our journey. Join us.
Well, you know, there's a lot of interesting information in there, and one of the interesting facts is that that video was, as a privately held, not profitable company, that video was made at great expense, and it's already completely outdated, and it's less than a year old. We now have over 70 customers across the US in probably over 40 states, and the trend is growing. States like New York City Metro, Philadelphia, everything from small Lexington, Louisville, Kentucky to big like Philadelphia, like New York City, Seattle. We're even in Montana, we're in Alaska. It's growing because at the local level, decisions are being made and the policies are being made at the local level that not only do we want to be green, but we want to be fiscally responsible. And the beauty of transit is that they have a 12-year window, sometimes longer, to compute their total cost of ownership. And electric vehicles, if you actually own one for a long time, will save you a dramatic amount of money from maintenance, where our buses can go anywhere from 2 years to almost 3 years before a brake job. A traditional fossil fuel stop and go under 20 miles an hour, every 3 or 4 months might need a brake job. Electric motors have been around forever, and they have like no moving parts. If you saw a list of materials for a fossil fuel bus and an electric bus, it's like a quarter because there's hardly any moving parts. So this is what we were like in 2015 as a company. I knew every customer by heart. Fast forward to now, I can't even keep track of them, and buried in there is, in California, is Samtrans and Santa Clara VTA right down the road, as well as San Jose Airport. And as you can see, we're across the US, we're in Texas, we're in Louisiana, Florida, Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina, Minnesota. It's a phenomenon that's just taking place everywhere. It doesn't matter, red state, blue state. As you saw, the electric bus price is going down. That's been piggybacked off of the growth in the passenger vehicle electric market because we're going on a kilowatt per hour basis in terms of energy storage. And so our price of bus has dropped corresponding with, my CEO loves to throw that slide in there because as you heard on the video, we're saying that by 2030, we think there won't be any reason to buy anything but an electric bus, but we think it's going to be sooner. We think, in fact, that we will reach a point where no transit agency will buy diesel or fossil fuel bus. It will only be what type of electric bus we buy. Because as I said before, the numbers pan out and you have the added environmental benefits and you actually end up with higher worker satisfaction because they're now using they're using a laptop in many instances for diagnostics more than they are traditional handheld operations in a fossil fuel world. This is the Center for Transportation and the Environment. This is a study of the growth of electric buses, and it almost mirrors Proterra's internal growth. As you can see, it was a pretty flat and low sales to the point where it's reaching 10% of the marketplace overall, the market being about 5,000 to 6,000 electric buses a year. But think about technology transfer. Think about school buses. The market for school buses is more like 30,000 a year, of which your kids are riding in these, and they're all diesel. And diesel has been shown to be a particularly insidious pollutant with particulate matter. This is somebody else. This is Frost & Sullivan, another kind of analyst company that's looking at the growth of the electric bus market and its explosion, not just in America, but across the world. The growth has been dramatic, and it's for all the reasons I talked about. The price has been coming down, the technology is coming down, the energy density in the battery packs is allowing for longer and longer ranges. Last year, we set a world record with a full-on transit bus that could go into service the next day at Samtrans, and that bus went 1,100 miles on a single charge. That bus was a transit bus, seats, the whole deal. Now, full disclosure, we optimized the speed for the test, and it didn't have passengers on it, so it was the world's longest test, as well as setting a world record, because the bus went 17.9 miles per hour for the life of that test. So it started on Friday, and on Sunday I was still getting updates as to how many miles the bus had gone. But if you think about it, that's the world that buses operate in. Stop and go traffic, mostly urban, some highway stuff, and as it turns out, our buses actually do really, really well on the highways. They actually end up getting a significant range boost by getting up to speed, and it's really spooky to be on an electric bus that merges on the highway faster than some low-level internal combustion vehicles. And this is an eye chart that I don't really like to show eye charts, but it just shows you in comparison to their fossil fuel counterparts with electric rates as an average, how much money you can save with electricity as a fuel versus CNG versus diesel, or in the instance of a technology called the diesel hybrid, which many of you may have seen diesel hybrid buses saying, clean vehicles, supposedly diesel hybrid. Well, they're as clean as about that much of a time shot because they operate in diesel mode 95 to 96% of the time. But when you're burning hundreds of thousands of gasoline, that extra mile per gallon on a per bus basis is actually real money for transit agencies. So it was a good interim step, much like CNG was a good interim step in some cases, but the future is electric. I was at a recent conference with utility executives, and that's all they talked about, is how the future is electric and how they are now all in on preparing the infrastructure. Because if you see, there's a lot of opportunities out there, renewables, solar, et cetera. And the difference with the transit market is that it's a fleet-based market, so you're having decisions made at scale. One transit agency can decide to change their entire fleet versus individual homeowners across an area. So the opportunity to transform transit to 100% electric is in the hands of a fewer amount of people, like, for example, Jim Hartnett right here, who's gonna be doing that himself. And it's also a kind of phenomenon that if you look at what's happening at the federal level and at the home level, fortunately for us, we're in the right place at the right time, because a lot of transit agencies out there have been running buses for a long time, some maybe even past their life. So there's a huge opportunity to transition the next generation of transit into electricity versus buying fossil fuel vehicles. Oil prices have been depressed. We still have a better total cost of ownership, and if you've seen anything, you've seen gas prices go up and down. It's very cyclical, and they're back on the rise, quite frankly. Now, to intersperse my talking again, this is a little bit of the future, what we're doing in partnership at the University of Reno to, oh, I'm sorry. All right, you know what? That's gonna have to be it for another point in time, but it's a really cool autonomous thing, and I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna have to jump right through it. Gotta stay on base. But here's something that is available right now, and this is being deployed on buses that are out in your areas. It's called a mobilized system, collision avoidance. Just know that what the video was gonna show was buses equipped to be like autonomous vehicles, except they have drivers. And we're collecting data because we don't want to prematurely jump into autonomous, because we think that there will always be a driver, a need for a driver. He may become a customer service agent, if you will, but autonomy has the ability to enhance safety in the transit world for the passengers, for cars, and for what I like to call the connected world, where all of them will be able to link up at some point in time down the road, because a lot of that technology can serve double duty. Thank you.